Hello and welcome back to my blog. We continue with Sophisms of the Protectionists by Bastiat. And this is from the second series. And there's first a quote from Bentham. I believe that's Jeremy Bentham. The request of industry to the government is as modest as that of Diogenes to Alexander. Stand out of my sunshine. So the first chapter here in part 2, Two Systems of Morals. Arrived at the end of the preceding chapter, if he gets so far, I imagine I hear the reader say, well, now, was I wrong in accusing political economists of being dry and cold? What a picture of humanity. Spoliation is a fatal power, almost normal, assuming every form, practiced under every pretext, against law and according to law, abusing the most sacred things, alternately playing upon the feebleness and the credulity of the masses, and ever growing by what it feeds on. Could a more mournful picture of the world be imagined than this? The problem is not to find whether the picture is mournful, but whether it is true, and for that we have the testimony of history. It is singular that those who decry political economy, because it investigates men and the world as it finds them, are more gloomy than political economy itself, at least as regards the past and the present. Look into their books and their journals. What do you find? Bitterness and hatred of society. The very word civilization is for them a synonym for injustice, disorder, and anarchy. They have even come to curse liberty, so little confidence have they in the development of the human race, the result of its natural organization. Liberty, according to them, is something which will bring humanity nearer and nearer to destruction. It is true that they are optimists as regard the future, for although humanity, in itself incapable for 6,000 years, has gone astray, a revelation has come, which has pointed out to men the way of safety, and, if the flock are docile and obedient to the shepherd's call, will lead them to the promised land, where well-being may be attained without effort, where order, security, and prosperity are the easy reward of improvidence. To this end, humanity, as Rousseau said, has only to allow these reformers to change the physical and moral constitution of man. Political economy has not taken upon itself the mission of finding out the probable condition of society had it pleased God to make men different from what they are. It may be unfortunate that Providence, at the beginning, neglected to call to his counsels a few of our modern reformers. And, as the celestial mechanism would have been entirely different had the Creator consulted Alfonso the Wise, society also, had he not neglected the advice of Fourier, would have been very different from that in which we are compelled to live and move and breathe. But since we are here, our duty is to study and to understand his laws, especially if the amelioration of our condition essentially depends upon such knowledge. We cannot prevent the existence of unsatisfied desires in the hearts of men. We cannot satisfy these desires except by labor. We cannot deny the fact that man has as much repugnance for labor as he has satisfaction with its results. Since man has such characteristics, we cannot prevent the existence of a constant tendency among men to obtain their part of the enjoyments of life, while throwing upon others, by force or by trickery, the burdens of labor. It is not for us to belie universal history, to silence the voice of the past, which attests that this has been the condition of things since the beginning of the world. We cannot deny that war, slavery, superstition, the abuses of government, privileges, frauds of every nature, and monopolies have been the incontestable and terrible manifestations of these two sentiments, united in the heart of man. Desire for enjoyment, repugnance to labor. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread. But everyone wants as much bread and as little sweat as possible. This is the conclusion of history. Thank heaven, history also teaches that the division of blessings and burdens tends to a more exact equality among men. Unless one is prepared to deny the light of the sun, it must be admitted that, in this respect at least, society has made some progress. If this be true, there exists in society a natural and providential force, a law which causes iniquity gradually to cease and makes justice more and more a reality. We say that this force exists in society and that God has placed it there. If it did not exist, we should be compelled, with the socialists, to search for it in those artificial means, in those arrangements which require a fundamental change in the physical and moral constitution of man. Or rather, we should consider that search idle and vain, for the reason that we could not comprehend the action of a lever without a place of support. Let us, then, endeavor to indicate that beneficent force which tends progressively to overcome the maleficent force to which we have given the name of spoliation. and the existence of which is only too well explained by reason and proved by experience. Every maleficent act necessarily has two terms, the point of beginning and the point of ending. The man who performs the act and the man upon whom it is performed, or in the language of the schools, the active and the passive agent. There are then two means by which the maleficent act can be prevented, by the voluntary absence of the active or by the resistance of the passive agent. Whence two systems of morals arise, not antagonistic but concurrent, religious or philosophical morality, and the morality to which I permit myself to apply the name economical, utilitarian. Religious morality, to abolish and extirpate the maleficent act, appeals to its author, to man in his capacity of active agent. It says to him, reform yourself, purify yourself, cease to do evil, learn to do well, conquer your passions, sacrifice your interests, do not oppress your neighbor, to succor and relieve whom is your duty, be first just, then generous. This morality will always be the most beautiful, the most touching, that which will exhibit the human race in all its majesty, which will the best lend itself to the offices of eloquence and will most excite the sympathy and admiration of mankind. Utilitarian morality works to the same end, but especially addresses itself to man in his capacity of passive agent. It points out to him the consequences of human actions, and by this simple exhibition, stimulates him to struggle against those which injure, and to honor those which are useful to him. It aims to extend among the oppressed masses enough good sense, enlightenment, and just defiance to render render oppression both difficult and dangerous. It's the end of the first part of that chapter on two types of morals, I believe it was. Two systems of morals. More tomorrow. Make it a great day, and bye for now.